Let us. Oh, it is time. The Field of 64 set. And Mitch Light and I, all spring long, Mitch Light of The Athletic, have been talking college baseball. And I mean, the games are the payoff, but to see the Field of 64, Mitch, you have been working nonstop. You probably, putting all those keyboarding skills to work for a while here.
Yeah, it's been a busy morning. Just get some stuff ready and, get a story ready to get published ASAP, but you got a lot of X's to fill in. Depending on the bracket, like I at one point assumed that Kentucky had not made it, so I switched a paragraph to say only 11 SEC teams. Had to go back and change that. So just a lot of little items like that, and you can't forget any of them. But it's out. Happy to talk about it. Still trying to digest it, but I enjoyed watching it, and I love Memorial Day. Mostly because of the NCAA baseball selection show.
So wait, okay, I didn't get to watch every detail. Where did Kentucky made it? I didn't catch that. Where did they go?
They were in the last region shown, the West Virginia one. I was obviously getting a little anxious because Wake Forest had not been announced, and my son, at Wake Forest and all that. And although they were considered a lock, but you never know when things are going. So then I saw Kentucky. I was like, surely Kentucky's not the 2 seed. So Kentucky was the 3 seed, and then literally Wake Forest was the 64th team revealed, not the 64th team in the field. So yes, Kentucky basically, and I just saw a graphic from the committee. Kentucky was the last team. Troy was the last team in. Kentucky was the second to last team in. Mercer was the last team out.
I'm surprised Kentucky got in.
Yes, I am too. There's precedent, obviously, of 13 and 17 SEC teams making it. 2 years ago, 3 SEC teams made it at 13 and 17, including one, Florida, which lost in its opening game of the SEC tournament. Kentucky, 13 and 17, lost to Vanderbilt last Tuesday. We've gone over this. They only had 2 series wins all year. They swept Alabama in week 1, and then they beat Tennessee. So they have 2 good series wins, but
it's 2.
They lost a home series to Missouri. They lost a home series to Vanderbilt, 2 teams that did not make the field. And one thing, I don't fault Kentucky. This is smart. When most SEC teams have good RPIs, it's because they've beaten some good teams, some good road wins, good non-conference schedule. Kentucky figured this out. They play a lot of road series to start the season at good mid-majors that they expect to beat. So if you win 2 out of 3 at a UNC Greensboro or wherever they go, Campbell, that is a huge RPI boost. So Kentucky has, again, they do it every year, and credit to them. Gaming is, if you want to use that word, gaming the RPI. But I do not think Kentucky should have made it. I think 13 and 17 should not be the cutoff. You make it. I think 13 and 17 could be okay. Let's see what else you have done, and I just don't think their resume warranted a spot in the field.
Do you think this is why people hate the SEC? Is because Kentucky gets in?
That's part of it. Although there were a lot of mid-majors that got in. Troy got in with the 29 losses. If you would have told me a team would set the record. At-large team would set the record for the most losses, I would assume it would be an SEC team. Troy went 32 and 29 and made the field as an at-large. 5 Sun Belt teams. Texas State made it. So people are upset that Mercer did not make it, but you can't just say Kentucky got in over Mercer, which they did. There's also Troy getting in, Texas State getting in, 2 teams from the Sun Belt, 5 teams overall. So it's not like they just went, like TCU didn't make it. It's not like they just went, all power conference teams. But I think Kentucky at 13 and 17 there's going to be a lot of pushback from that.
Without a doubt. I was going to ask you, the 3 biggest surprises in no order. You've already given us one. So how about, what else caught your attention?
NC State made it. And there's long been a kind of a running joke that if you want to make the tournament, just announce you're retiring as the coach. Elliott Avent, been there 30 years, announced his retirement last week. If you're on the bubble and you want to make the tournament, just announce your retirement. Hey, maybe when this season's over, you can renege and say, I'm coming back. But a lot of people think that there's a retirement bump. I'm trying to think. There's a couple other recent years where a coach The Coastal Carolina coach retired 2 years ago. They were one of the last teams in the field, and they got in. So NC State, really, they did not have a very difficult schedule within the conference. And they went, I'm checking real quick, great rating, 14 and 16 in the league with a 51 RPI. So rare for a team to get in outside sub 50 RPI. So that was a surprise. Nothing else really surprised me, honestly. I'm scouring the bracket right now. We can talk to A&M. Maybe thought they'd be a few spots higher, but
okay. Let me go to that then. I was going to ask you something. How did A&M end up? And you can work through it. How did A&M end up as a 12? Oregon, who has RPI 17. How did Oregon leapfrog A&M? A&M moved down 3 spots during the course of 1 week, one tournament week. How did A&M end up at 12?
Well, you can't say they moved down because the committee doesn't release a bracket. You can't just go by projections. So you can't just say, they were an 8 and then they lost. So the final RPI right now, Texas A&M's a 14, Oregon's 15. So Oregon's only 1 spot. Oregon in the Big Ten tournament beat Nebraska, a regional team, 8-0. Lost to UCLA 3-2. They closed the season with a series at UCLA when they played very well, and then they closed the series with a home 2 out of 3 over USC. So I think those two teams were very, very close. But again, you can't really just say they jumped them because the committee announces its bracket. They don't do one every, they're not doing projections. So I think Oregon's pretty good, and there's not really a huge difference there between the seeds. So my long-winded answer, Louis, I have no complaints with where Oregon is.
I don't understand how the team that finished third in the SEC ends up at 12.
Yeah, there's more to it. There's there's metrics, and I don't have their DSR and KPI in front of me where they fared. And I'm not a bracketologist. I haven't really, crunched all the numbers. I just read all the stuff like you have. Obviously, the win at Florida was a great series win, but other than that, I don't think they won an SEC series on the road, so that could have hurt them. All that's baked into the metrics and all that stuff. So, and with the imbalanced schedules, you can't just go by conference records. We've seen that repeatedly in the past few years.
Yeah, and also here's the other thing: how did the committee resist putting A&M at 11 and pairing them at Texas? Because in every sport, every chance they get, they do that every time. I was stunned they resist the temptation.
Well, I think it's good. I think that they don't need to rig it by any sense, but if they can avoid have teams from the same conference in the supers, I mean, it's great theater, but again, I applaud them for not doing it. I mean, maybe I would like to see it, but if that's the way they had them seeded, then just go with that. Again, I would rather not teams from not just the SEC, I'd rather not see teams from the same conference, especially if they've already played in the regular season, match up in the supers.
I 1,000,000% agree with you. They just never do it, though. That's the problem. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So, and it's difficult in the SEC when you've got all those hosts. Now, five of them were in the top 8. So, if it's 4 and 4, but it gets unavoidable at times. But one thing I'm really looking forward to, Georgia and Georgia Tech are really, really good, especially on offense. I'm glad they're on the same side of the bracket, that there's a chance that they could play in Omaha. I guess they're 2 and 3. It wouldn't be the first game. It would be that Saturday night or Sunday night, game in Omaha, which would be amazing.
Absolutely. There's a lot actually that can end up. I like a lot of these matchups because in general, does this not feel like a traditional field? Like not the same old names, not the same old hosts. This has a very different kind of vibe to it, and that's enjoyable sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, LSU, the defending national champs, did not make it. Vanderbilt's streak of 19 straight tournaments, they're not in it. Clemson is not in it. Stanford, who hasn't made the last 2 threes. There's a lot of teams that we've seen in the field every year for the past 2 decades, not in it. Opening for the Kansas, Nebraska, teams that have made the field, those are hosting. West Virginia is hosting. I'll tell you that, I look across the field, and the 2 seeds, I think the 16 hosts are all really good, and then I think Tennessee's pretty good. I guess some of the SEC teams. I don't love a lot of the 2 seeds. Like, I think the bracket's not top heavy as in the top 4 or 5. I think the bracket's top heavy as in the 1 seeds. Maybe the top 16, 18 teams are really good. And I could be proven completely wrong here, but I just don't love a lot of the 2 seeds this year. And I don't know why. I have no theory behind that. Just look at that team like, I don't see them winning.
A&M's DSR is 7, just so you'll know.
Okay, that's impressive. I'm sure the committee member. This is about the time that they have they interview him on ESPN. It's the Florida State AD, and then they do a conference call. So I'm sure there'll be some quotes coming out after that. So we'll see. So they are matched up with who? North Carolina, right?
Yeah, they got North Carolina.
Yeah, who's good? Obviously not unbeatable. Good pitching, not a great lineup like we've seen from him in the past. So, hey, we could see a Tennessee at A&M Super, which would be pretty exciting.
Okay, there'd be a little payback. A&M's faced Tennessee before high stakes. Not that long ago either.
I remember it, yes. Both coaches are now doing different things, which
exactly.
is crazy to think. 2 years ago, they played in the National Championship Series, and both coaches are gone. That is really interesting. Actually.
Auburn as a 4 seed is a team that, in the final month, they played well all year. But in the final month, they shot. I don't know of another team that made up more ground or shot up the charts or just with their finish, they really, really made ground up or shot up the chart. But one of the hottest teams in the country down the stretch.
Yes, they pitch really well. They lead the nation in walks per 9 innings. They're second in WHIP, fourth in ERA. Here's that they're one of 2 teams to have 2 starting pitchers with a WHIP of 1 or lower. I mean, if you've got 2 guys that you really like in that starting rotation, baseball becomes a lot easier to win in the postseason, and they do. And their offenses come around. We saw in Hoover, they played well. They're very young. A lot was made of that. They've got a ton of sophomores, so very, very good team. And they're a lesson for just patience. I mean, Butch Johnson has done a good job there, but what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? They went like 5 and they had an awful SEC season. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe. Went like 5-25. Not that he was going to get fired because he had a good track record, but it just tells you in this league when everyone is trying to be good, everyone has the resources that. And hey, so last year with A&M, you can have one awful year and then just bounce back and be really, really good. And we've seen that with Auburn.
Is there? Looking at the fields now, I'm going to let you buy 3. Which 3 teams are you buying for Omaha? Done. Go to Vegas. Put your money on.
Georgia. I don't like Boston College is the 2, and they struggled big time down the stretch. They lost maybe their last 2 series, bowed out in 1 game in the ACC tournament. Liberty, I don't know a ton about. They had a good year in Conference USA. So I think Georgia's like really good at home, but I wrote this that they might have the best road resume in SEC history. Would they win it? A&M, Auburn, Arkansas. That's 3 right there, and then they had 2 other really good road series wins. So my point being, like, yes, they're built to win at home because they're small ballpark, but they also they're really good. They're mentally tough. Won the SEC tournament. They can win on the road. So Auburn. Georgia Tech, don't love Oklahoma as a 2 seed there. The Citadel's a 3, probably a weak 3. And then Texas. UCSB has a great pitcher in Jackson Flora. Numbers are incredible. Actually, that's a good storyline to watch, Louis. Jackson Flora's ERA is like 1.05. Just think about that, 1.05. If you're UCSB, don't you hold him for Texas? Like, I don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So they can't. They played Tarleton State. So a Dylan Volantis versus Jackson Flora game on Saturday night in Austin would be awesome. So I would say my 3 teams. So it would be Georgia, Georgia Tech, and Texas would be my three locks to get out.
Mitch, quick timeout. Come back. I need some scouting reports from you.
I'll do my best.
That's all you can do. That's what you always do. Mitch Light of the Athletic on the D4 Land Services hotline. Field of 64, the matchups. We have it in our hand. Regional action. The road to Omaha has been revealed. If you ever need some forestry, mulching, pond construction, heck, a metal building, a custom metal building from the ground up. Go get more info. Go learn more at d4landservices.com. They can hook you up. I'm talking about D4 Land Services. And again, it's in the title, d4landservices.com. This is the Louis Bellina Show, Monday on the Zone. The Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. The Louis Bellina Show, Monday edition. Back at it with Mitch Light of The Athletic. Mitch, when are you going to have your stuff up? Because all your baseball stuff is free, and I want people to read, more thoughts, more of what you think. When can they check you out? Mitch, are you with? He's on mute, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, I was on mute. Sorry. We've got a story up right now, The Athletic revealing the bracket with, some toughest region type stuff, storylines to watch, all that. But I'm working on my region by region predictions, which is more just fun facts for every team. It's not necessarily analysis. It's more, I've been doing a lot of research the past week. So that will be up on Wednesday. That's one piece I really enjoy watching.
Okay, I can't
really
wait.
enjoy writing. So
I'm excited. I can't wait. I was wondering if you could help me with the College Station Regional. What do you know?
I can.
Can you give me a scouting report on USC, the Trojans, Big Ten baseball?
Yes, they can pitch it. And I talked about teams that can throw two really good arms at you that are dangerous. Mason Edwards leads the nation.
Hold on, Mitch, could you start over? You cracked up 3 times in there. I think your phone glitched.
I'm sorry. So I talked earlier about teams that can throw two really good starting pitchers at you who are, built to win in a regional. That's what USC can do. Mason Edwards leads the nation with 16.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. That is a lot. He's got a sub-1 whip, which is very good. His teammate, Grant Gravel, is also very good, leads college baseball with 42 1-2-3 innings. So he's got the most 1-2-3 innings. Now, okay, so why isn't USC better with two of the best starting pitchers in the country? Good question. And why weren't they hosting? They had a 10 RPI, I believe. They went 1-9 in their in series against UCLA, Oregon, and Nebraska. They got swept at Nebraska. So on the one hand, they got pitchers with great numbers. On the other hand, when they played good teams, they didn't do well. And they also lost to UCLA in the Big Ten tournament. Mason Edwards, that great pitcher I told you about, he did not do well against UCLA. So Texas A&M will be the best. If Edwards faces A&M, he'll be the best. That'll be the best lineup he faces. A&M's lineup is better than UCLA's. So USC is very good, but again, they have not fared very well against the top teams. I just looked up Texas State during the break. They hit the long ball. I was not aware of this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 7 guys with 10 home runs or more. You don't find that with many teams. So their top guy has 16, so it's not like they got a guy with 25 or anything like that. But they have 111 home runs as a team. And again, look, everybody in their lineup except one dude can hit the long ball.
So this whole regional. Texas State hits the long ball. A&M hits the long ball. The one team that can pitch is USC, which I don't know if it gives them a unique advantage because it won't be a very pitching-heavy regional other than one team.
Yeah, and you just never know. Again, USC, they one thing that, they don't play. I was going to say they don't play in front of big crowds, but Nebraska baseball has one of the best environments you'll see, and that was a huge series. So USC played 3 games at Nebraska. I think they blew a huge lead and one of them got walked off. So they've played in front of a rowdy atmosphere. Obviously, A&M will have more fans. They'll be rowdy. Sometimes teams that aren't used to the big spotlight, you put the ball in play against them and they start throwing it all over the place. You see that a lot in the NCAA tournament. USC is a veteran team. Those guys are juniors, the pitchers, so I don't expect them to be spooked by the atmosphere there. But that is going to be really intriguing. It's the whole can good pitching stop good hitting, and I'm looking forward to that Saturday night matchup, whether it's Edwards or Gravel for USC.
I couldn't figure out their bullpen because they've got some guys that have lesser innings that are outstanding, but their closer 1-3, 12 saves, but his ERA is up over 4, which isn't horrible. But in the Big Ten, I feel like your numbers should be inflated because you only got 2 weekends you have to care about, maybe 3.
Yeah, so I'm looking same thing. ERAs for relievers don't look at. They only play 31. They don't in college. They don't have that many innings. You know, if you have one bad game, that can kill your ERA. I look at his other numbers. Here's his problem: he walks a lot of guys. We're talking about his name is Adam Troy. 31 innings, 26 hits, which is good. 37 strikeouts, that's good. But 18 walks. That's a lot for anybody. You don't want your closer there. 218 average against. So I'd have to look at his game-by-game thing. There could have been a game where he gave up five runs and then killed his ERA, and he was great other games. So, so that's going to be, again, they were on the cusp for host. I don't know how serious they were. I'm glad the committee didn't just say, oh, you have a 10 RPI, you should host, because nothing really about their resume other than that suggests they should host.
Yeah, there were a lot of deceiving RPIs. Like Georgia's RPI was a throwaway this year, too.
Yeah, can I say I'm glad they were the 3 seed as a 7 RPI, because they're really good and they deserved it. You win the SEC by 3.5 games, you win the SEC tournament. I don't care if your RPI 7. They deserve that 3 overall seed, so I was glad the committee did that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I thought they always were. I never thought that was in jeopardy, at least in my head.
Yeah, they were up until maybe the last couple of weeks. They were projected more in the 5 or 6 range, 4 or 5. But then when you close the season with a series win at Auburn, and then you win the SEC tournament, they deserved it.
And here's the oddest part: in 9 out of 10 years, if you're the SEC regular season champ and the tournament champ, you're the number 1 overall seed.
Right. But I thought that if UCLA lost, I watched a lot of Big Ten tournament this weekend. Just the game times worked out, like going against the SEC where there were delays. UCLA came from behind in all 3 games, and I thought if UCLA lost in the Big Ten tournament and Georgia Tech won the ACC, there was an argument for Georgia Tech as the number 1 overall seed. Record wasn't quite as gaudy, but only 3 fewer wins, a lot tougher schedule, a lot more quad 1 wins. But then once UCLA, when you win that many games and win the conference title, they kind of locked in number 1. Georgia Tech number 2. So you're right. It's just a rare year where you had 2 non-SEC teams that deserved it over them. I don't think anyone thinks that Georgia should be 1 or 2, but I'm just glad they're number 3.
Hey, Mitch, feel-good story, one that we hinted at like several times throughout the season. Kansas did it. They're hosting.
Yes, good for them. They almost imploded down the stretch. They had a 4-game lead with 2 weekends to go, which is almost insurmountable, but then they got swept at home by West Virginia. But they did just enough to hold on to the regular season title down the stretch, and then they beat West Virginia badly in the Big 12 tournament championship game. So good for them. They're rewarded by playing Arkansas, who's arguably the most talented number 2 seed. I thought Arkansas was going to go to Nebraska. I don't know why they didn't do that with the storylines. Dave Van Horn, former Nebraska head coach. I thought that would have been really interesting. But I guess maybe they adhere to the S-curve. And, but maybe that's why. So,
committees do whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah, but I think that's probably why they did not. The committee had Arkansas ranked ahead of Ole Miss, so they gave Nebraska the easier, quote unquote, easier number 2 seed than Kansas. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Were you surprised West Virginia was the 16?
No, they were good all year. They've got great pitching. They had a gaudy record. They won some tough series. Like I said, they swept Kansas on the road. They won 2 out of 3 at Arizona State. So they lost the series at home to UCF, but no, they're really good. They're really good. They among the top 5, I think, nationally in ERA. Offense isn't great, but they can really pitch it.
Mitch, get out of here. I know you need to go back to work. We got ESPN, Memorial Day baseball coming up, and we got a doubleheader here on the Zone. And look, thank you for taking time out. I know how busy you are. Brother, I'll check in with you next Monday, and holy cow, we'll be talking about supers then.
Sounds good. Always enjoy it. Take care.
Later, brother. Mitch Light of The Athletic, hanging out with us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. Yeah, I'm out of here. An abbreviated edition of the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Built on faith, family, and community, CC Electric. I'm back tomorrow. And tomorrow, here's what we do have. We will have Olin Buchanan live from Destin, Florida, the SEC spring, winter, the SEC meetings from Destin, Florida. Tomorrow, Community Spotlight, Brazos Valley Food Bank. We'll have a listen, and Michael Early just got done meeting with the media after the announcement of the NCAA tournament. Peace.